Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the last 12 to 18 months, you would have seen a new kind of fitness competition arise all over the world. They call it the World Series of Fitness. It's the HYROX Games. Now, in my opinion, this is CrossFit on steroids. It's not as skill-based as CrossFit, but it's definitely more cardiovascular, fitness-based, more strength and power-based, all in one. If you are competing, there are different levels that you can compete in. One of my clients, one of my online clients, big up Tom, he is in the pro category, which puts him in the top elite 15 or 20 or so in the world. And in that category, this is exactly what you have to do.
So it starts with a 1K run. Next, a 1,000 meter ski erg. Again, a 1K run. Now a 202 kilo sled push. Again, back to the 1K run. A 153 kilo sled pull, a 1K run. 80 meter burpee broad jumps. Again, a 1K run. A 1,000 meter row, a 1K run. A 100 meter sandbag carry lunge with 30 kilo weight. Another 1K run, and then finally to finish off, 100 wall balls with a 9 kilo ball.
Yes, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. So that's a combination of obviously cardiovascular fitness. You have to be cardiovascular fit, but also a combination of strength and power. Now, there are some people that do this in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. However, to be in that top pro category and those elite level few, you're looking at as close to the 1 hour mark as possible. Now, when I first started working with my online client, Tom, he was already top 15, which meant he went and competed in Las Vegas at the Worlds. And in that competition, he finished 9th. Now, he was already a beast. For his age category, which is 40 to 44, he's number 1. But obviously, in the Worlds competition, he has to compete with the young boys as well. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of information on how we approached going into the new season and pretty much in his off season, what we did and how we got to where he was to where he is currently. So before he started working with me, like I already said, he finished 9th in the world in Las Vegas. He pulled a 1 hour, 5 minute time. With his training and everything he's been doing, this season he's competed in Basel and he's qualified with a time of 59 minutes, which is huge. It's a 5-minute PB, which puts him right now 4th in the world. Obviously, there's a lot of competitors who still need to compete, but currently 4th best in the world is not too bad. And he's certainly number 1 for his age group. So this is kind of what we looked at and how we approached the situation with his off season. So after having a consult with him and working out what he felt he needed to work on, and then giving him some testing to do from my side to see what he needed to work on, and then correlated the two with some data that we got from the best competitors, we basically wanted to get 2, maybe 3 key performance indicators and then improve them. The KPIs, those key performance indicators, are basically things that I know that if he improves, he'll be a better athlete, he'll be a better competitor. And that first KPI was to raise his level of absolute strength. Now, in its simplest terms, absolute strength is how strong you can be, irrelevant of your body mass, of your body weight. So my guy, Tom, is fit as a fiddle, but he just wasn't strong enough. The feedback I got is that his grip strength was fatiguing quite easily. He's felt the sled pushes hard, the sled drags hard. They were just difficult exercises. So he didn't have the strength capability to overcome those loads whilst he was under fatigue. Interestingly enough, when we looked at some of the data, he was top 1 to 3 runners over that Las Vegas Worlds competition. However, when it came to those strength exercises, the sled push, the sled drag, the farmer carries, he was finishing average down the bottom, which meant overall his time just dropped, and that's where he finished 9th in the competition. So we knew if we can raise his level of base strength and absolute strength, he will get improvements overall. So the exercises that we took were the basic exercises, the bench press, the chin up, the deadlift and the squat. And we focused on improving his base level of strength of those exercises. The second KPI that we wanted to work on improving was his relative strength. Now, relative strength is similar to absolute strength. However, it's getting as strong as you can relative to your body weight. Now, when we looked at some of the data from the best athletes in the HYROX Games, they were a very similar weight to what he was, which means that he didn't have to lose much weight and he didn't really have to put much weight on. So can we raise his level of absolute strength whilst maintaining a 1 to 3% of current body weight? That will give him a high level of relative strength. strength to body mass ratio. Now, prior to working with me, Tom was smashing 10, 12 cardiovascular training sessions a week, and that is a lot, hence why he was so fucking fit. So to improve relative strength and absolute strength, it's really important that we obviously lift heavy weights. But when you lift heavy weights, it's important that we get recovery and restoration in there. So that meant we had to sacrifice some of that cardiovascular fitness work. We actually dropped the cardiovascular fitness work down to 2, 3, maybe sometimes 4 sessions a week, whilst upping the amount of training sessions he did in the weights room. And actually, he was only doing about 4 weight training sessions a week, and like I said, 3 or 4 cardiovascular sessions a week. So the guy has gone from 10, 12, 15 sessions a week down to like 5, 6, maybe 7, which is a huge decrease. And I remember when I first gave him the training program, I don't think he understood it, which is fine because, you know, he got to such a high level competing and training the way he did. So for me to come in and change it all, you know, I did have to meet him halfway and give him a little bit more of what he needed, which is fine. Now, the reason why you can't just keep adding weight training sessions to the amount of cardiovascular sessions that he was doing is firstly because of time. You don't have the time, but more importantly is when you're trying to develop muscle strength and power, it's a complete opposite energy system to cardiovascular endurance. So they are competing energy systems, and your body will compete to improve one more so than the other. Now, at a low level, if you're just a general gym goer, you can do both. But at this level that he was competing at, you cannot improve both fully. And that's where the off-season, pre-season was important to reduce the amount of cardiovascular training units he was doing and increase the amount of training, strength training sessions and units that he was doing. So the key point there is that if you are someone who is very, very fit, but you need to improve your strength and your power or your muscle, it's very important that you lower the amount of cardiovascular work you're doing and increase the amount of weight training sessions that you are doing, because you will not get strong and powerful if you just add more to it. You have to adjust the energy demands. Now, that final key performance indicator that we worked on in that initial 6 to 8 month block of training was his grip strength. Every time Tom did a sled drag or the farmer carries, or I think even on the rower, his grip was fatiguing. And that's again because he was just weak. His grip strength was very, very poor. So obviously raising his absolute and relative strength improved his grip. He was doing deadlifts, he was doing chin-ups. That will raise it. But what we did also do is use different implements for the farmer carries. For example, we used kettlebells, dumbbells, we used the rope on the sled, seated, standing. So getting the grip to use different grip variations will always have a good transfer, especially as a beginner with weights. And we also used tempos and prescribed time under tension with his traditional strength training sessions, so that we can prolong time under tension so that he was stronger, but also his ability to resist fatigue improved. Now, what is interesting, from his 9th place finish at the Worlds, Tom was averaging as one of the best runners in that competition. However, like I said, his strength exercises were down the bottom, which meant he averaged a 9th place, which meant he finished in 9th. However, this time round in Basel, what's interesting is that his running averaged maybe like top 3 to 5. So he wasn't the best runner. He was actually running slower than he has before. However, all of his strength exercises were up there at the top, which meant it gave him a personal best, a 5-minute personal best. So that just shows you that trusting your coach, trusting the training system is really important, and manipulating your training units and where you're putting your energy and time can be beneficial if you do it correctly. So the reduction in training cardiovascular units was worth the trade-off, because improving his strength, his power, his base level of strength, and his injury prevention, strength in the lower back and hips where he was weak, certainly had a huge transfer to competition and performance. So a huge PB, a 5-minute PB this year for Tom. Well done, congratulations. It's a pleasure working with you. Thank you for trusting me as your coach. But I do want to say the competition is getting more popular. The level of competition with that is going to rise. But we're training. His ability is just going to keep going up and up. If you are a HYROX athlete or a competitor or any CrossFit or fitness competitor, if you need to level up your ability, your strength, your power, your muscle mass, you as a hybrid athlete, let me know and I'll see how I can help you.